little video about, we just got the Kontrol 61 Mark III keyboard, Native Instruments. I didn't just get it, I've had it for about a month. And there's a million videos out about this keyboard, so I don't want to go over, you know, everything on the keyboard that all these videos have shown. Frankly, my quick take on it is that if you're using Native Instruments software, it's very useful. If you're not, I don't know. It might be a little expensive for what, you can get other things that do similar things for less money. But I have to say, like, I'm not a keyboard player. I've heard people rave and I've heard people complain about the keys, the keyboard. I like it. I had a Roland A800 Pro. I like the keys better on this than on that. And I had an Ovation, and it's definitely better than that. The keys were terrible on that. I've seen people complain about that it doesn't have faders and pads. I don't really care. I don't need it for that, but you might, so I guess that's something to consider. I think part of the idea was, people complained about not having machine controls on the keyboard, and I think that was intentional, probably on their part, because they don't want this. They want this to complement the machine, not replace it. So the whole idea is that you would have both. If they're trying to sell more product, understandable. These being aluminum, that it's very high quality. It's nice in that regard. I really love having the lights, particularly on patches where you're doing articulation changes down here. It's so nice to be able to see where those triggers are. It just really helps a lot. I mean, in addition to the Native Instruments patches, actually, yeah, I have Vienna. I guess it doesn't show it for Vienna. That would be nice if it did. But at any rate, even for all the Native Instruments patches, it's still very nice to have that. The transport control is good. It's very simple and straightforward, but it's the basic stuff that you need. I love having the undo button there, being able to turn the metronome on and off, and otherwise it's pretty straightforward, being able to hit play, record, stop, and I have my DAW set up, so if I double tap stop, it goes back to where I started from. If I don't, it doesn't, and that's convenient for me. Just the editing layout for Native Instruments patches is really nice. I find it very helpful, and it's not actually a compliment. I think the GUIs on Kontakt software is terrible on the computer, so I really do find this to be a help, and being able to scroll through parameters very easily. I find that to be a huge help. And things like it was very easy to go to the browser, and for me to set up, I just went through, I have Complete Ultimate, so there's just a ton of software, too much, and it's too much for me to choose quickly in sessions. So I was able to go through all of it and set up, my own list of favorites, and you can scroll through, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to lose my patch right now, but it's very, it'll play samples of each as you're scrolling through, and then when you want to make something a favorite, you just hit set favorite. It's so easy. So now I have a nice list of my favorites, and that's convenient. It's all stuff you could do in the computer. It's just easier here. From the Mark II to the Mark III, they moved the strip from underneath. That was a terrible idea. I don't know why they ever did that. I never had to deal with it, so it doesn't really bother me, but I'm happy with it up there. It's a pretty straightforward situation. Having the polyphonic aftertouch is really nice. That was one of the reasons I bought it. Although, again, there's other keyboards that offer that too. And the MIDI 2.0, that's nice too. So that's the keyboard. Again, millions of videos you can watch to get much more in-depth on that. The one piece of information I really wanted to share that I do think is special, because I haven't seen it anywhere else, is when I installed the drivers and everything for this, it actually corrupted my audio MIDI setup utility, and I could not find anything on Native Instruments websites. And as a company, they're like AI. They don't. There's no people. It doesn't exist. So if you can't find what you need on their facts, you're out of luck. I've never been able to get a human being from that company ever. So there's a lot of there's some specific tweakings you have to do in user settings on a Mac OS that they do describe, and that's all fine, whatever. It's a little more complicated than it should be. It should be more plug and play. But this corruption of that utility, yeah, that might be unique to my system, but again, I didn't find any information about it. So, you have to treat it, the treatment for it, just so the big reveal of this video is you have to go find your audio MIDI setup preferences, and that's in your hidden library. So I'm holding the camera, so I can't really hear. If you hold down, you go to under your Finder, you have to, let me just kind of put that in focus. Hold down Option, and see that the library pops up. I mean, anybody seasoned on a Mac knows this, but if you don't know this, you hold down Option, and that library choice pops up. And I'm just going to quickly borrow my other hand. So we're doing the Go menu, library, and then I'm already here. So sorry about the focus. Library, and these are, the preference panels, and you just have to find the audio MIDI setup preference and just trash it, and it'll recreate it. You reboot and it'll recreate it, and that solved all my issues. Before that, when it was corrupted, the behavior that I was experiencing was that the computer could send MIDI to the keyboard, and everything up here functioned. So like I could scroll and I could choose a patch and whatnot, but nothing on the keyboard functioned. This didn't send any MIDI data at all. The keyboard itself didn't even, you didn't even see the lights up here. So so that's a drag. And again, I didn't find anything online anywhere that described this problem, much less offered any solutions. So if you've been experiencing this, that's the solution. At least that's what worked for me. Just trash your audio MIDI setup preferences, and that fixed everything. To their credit, I bought this keyboard from Sweetwater, and their tech people were very patient. And I had 2 different sessions with them, and they weren't the ones that ultimately had the solution for it, but they did point me toward the audio MIDI setup utility, which I was already looking at, but we were both kind of narrowing it down to that's probably where the problem was. And I think, in a third call, their next move probably would have been for me to trash that preference anyway, but I figured it out first. So, but that's the beauty of going to Sweetwater. A little plug for good old Sweetwater. There aren't too many retailers that give you that level of tech support, and it's really appreciated. And they were very cool on the phone, and it was very easy to get them on the phone, unlike every other company. So I recommend buying from Sweetwater. The only other thing I would say is I didn't really need any of the software that the keyboard came with. It didn't come with very much. It just came with like Elements or something, Kontakt Elements. But the one thing it came with that was nice was the Stradivari cello, and I already had a Stradivari violin, the Stradivari violin, and which I like. It's a nice, it's very nice. I mean, I have quite a few string packages. I have Vienna and Spitfire stuff, and generally I'm not a huge fan of the Native Instruments strings, but these in particular are actually quite nice, I find. And what they offer is lacking in those other big packages, I find, which is really great solo strings that are not bathed in whatever hall they were recorded in. you know, like with Vienna, like even when you try to turn everything off, it's still swimming in reverb. So, you know, I just find these really nice. And they have, you know, there's things like the positioning playing. It's just a really smart addition. It's very nice. I mean, basically, you can tell it to limit itself to low strings or high strings on either one of these, or it has a smart setting where you can switch. And again, you know, it's there in the software, but it's so easy on the keyboard. I'm trying to keep it focused. Where, you know, it's position right now, it's in high string. You can switch it to smart, and that's really nice. I had a client, I have a client, not had, have, who's doing his own version of Hallelujah. And so he sent me piano, and I haven't tuned and treated his vocal yet, so I'm going to turn that off. But I did one violin and one cello track to go along with it, and it's great software. I'm running these through Altiverb, through that hall. So, nice. I find there's very few solo violins where I actually like the higher register, and this one does it. And so, yeah, kudos to Native Instruments. They, you know, I think they won on this one. And I decided to use Altiverb, but the reverbs they come with are nice too. I like to have more control and be able to send them both to exactly the same one, etc. But all right, that's it. I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope it helps somebody if anybody got stuck the way I did installing the drivers for that keyboard. Again, you know, for my needs, I really like the keyboard. I think it's very helpful, but that's because it unlocks such a gigantic software package that I already had and makes it more usable. So that's my take. All right, take care, everybody.